Email open rate is one of the most important metric that determines whether the email you sent even gets seen or not in the first place. Let's just say you spent hours coming up with the strategy, creating a perfect email in the entire world, and bam, it just does not get open. So you waste hours of your valuable time in a day just to find out that the email got ignored. You don't have to worry about your email getting ignored anymore. In this video, I'm going to go through every factor that decides whether the email gets opened or not. So if you stick to the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what you need to do to make sure the next email you send gets actually opened, and you'll be able to make more revenue off of your email. By the way, I'm Anthony. I run email and SMS marketing agency for e-commerce brand, and I've helped dozens of e-commerce brands with their email marketing and have been able to generate millions of dollars through email for the clients that I've worked with. Just so you know, you're listening to a guy who knows what he's talking about, and here are some of the results that I've been able to get from my clients. And without further ado, let's dive into the video. So before we dive deep into it, so what fundamentally is open rate? So open rate is the percentage of email that gets delivered to your recipient. It is the foundation of every email metric. If the people aren't opening, nothing else matters. No click, no conversion, no revenue. The first thing that your email needs to be done is to get open, right? If it does not get open, then there's no way that the people are gonna go to your website and buy your product. So open rate is that important. So like, what are the factors that actually influences open rate? We're gonna go on its factors in detail, so you know exactly what are the stuff that actually matters for your email to get open. So open rate isn't driven by just like subject line alone, which most of the people think. So anytime the open rate goes down, the instinct thought of like most of the people is like, let me just send the subject line, like, which is partially true, but like it's not the entire picture, right? Like subject line is one factor, but it's not the only one. There are a hierarchy of factors working together, starting with who you send to and ending with what they see in the inbox, right? So first up, we have segmentation. The first thing that matters if you want to increase your open rate is segmentation. That means who you're actually sending an email to. So if you're sending an email to an irrelevant person, then of course they're not gonna open, right? But if you're sending an email to relevant person, like who are actually engaged with the email that you've been sending, then obviously they are gonna be the people who are going to open. So sending to the right people is the most important thing than any subject line. Even if you have the best subject line in the world, but if you're sending it to the people who are irrelevant, they just don't need your email at all, then you cannot expect them to open the email that you're sent, right? So the first thing you need to do is you need to define the first segment. So you create a segment of subscribers who have opened or clicked an email within the last 30 days. If your open rate have been down, that's why you're in this video probably. So what you need to do first is like all of the people who have opened or clicked an email within the last 30 days, you need to create a segment of those, because this is the most engaged audience and they are likely to interact with your email, which is gonna help inbox provider trust your sending behavior. And so let's just say you have a really bad open rate, and if your deliverability is low, which we're gonna go over after this, then your email might land on the spam, and then there is no chance that it's gonna get open if it lands on the spam. So the first thing you need to do to make sure the open rate is high is make sure the sender reputation and deliverability is really high. And the way you do that is to send an email to the relevant segment of the audience who have opened or clicked an email within the last 30 days, right? So that is the first thing you need to do. And so you send to this group first. Engaged subscribers generate opens, clicks, and positive signal. It's just like obvious, and these signals tell inbox providers like Gmail, Yahoo, Outlook that your emails are valuable, and so strong engagement from this group inbox placement for the future sends to the larger audience. And so you need to protect your sender reputation. If you're sending to disengaged contacts, it can lower your engagement rate. There is no point of sending an email to the person who are not interested in your brand, and it's just you don't want to send to the people who are not interacting with your email, right? And the low engagement can hurt your sender reputation, and poor sender reputation may cause emails to land in motion, spam, or junk folder, which we are trying to avoid in here. So starting with a tight engaged segment protects your domain and sending reputation. So that is the first thing, like sending to the relevant people. It's just as simple as that, like who have opened or clicked your email in the last 30 days. And so what you want to look up to in terms of open rate in general is like 40 to 50% open rate. If the segment that you're sending are consistently having an open rate of 45 to 50%, then you're in a good position. So what that indicates is you have a healthy list quality, you have strong deliverability, you have good inbox placement, and you have positive engagement signal. But if your open rate is above 65%, it is not a good thing, because what that means is you're sending to a really tight segment. And at the end of the day, the only reason this open rate and click rate, all of this matters, is to make revenue, right? And if you're sending to too tight of an audience, then the people that you're sending to, the probability of them buying is lower than if you're sending to the more people, right? And so if it's like more than 65, you need to look around like 45 to 50% open rate. And when it's above 65%, you're likely only emailing your most active subscribers, which is good. And consider gradually expanding your audience while monitoring engagement, right? So that is the thing. If it's lower than 45%, it's bad. If it's greater than 65%, it's bad. So you want to be in the sweet spot of 45 to 50%. So whether you're sending it to 30-day engage, that gives you 45 to 50%. And if the open rate is more about like 65%, what you need to do is you need to expand the list to maybe 60-day engage and then 90-day engage. And if the open rate is still good, you can expand to 120 days. So you get the point here, right? So like, and why does the 45 floor matters though? If your open rate falls below 45%, it usually indicates that you're sending an email to unengaged subscribers. And if you're sending in unengaged subscribers, then they're not going to open, they're not going to engage with the email. That's an obvious thing. And what that does is it actually hurts your deliverability. And so your probability of ending your email in the inbox folder decreases if your deliverability is low. So that's not what you want to do. So what you have to do here is you need to make sure your list is really hygiene, right? Like, I mean, the people are interacting with the email that you're sending, and you want to have a 50% open rate. And that's typically what's good in terms of an open rate. So you need to use a 45% as a health benchmark. The threshold helps you evaluate list quality. It guides you to tighten your segment, expand your segment, remove inactive subscribers, and adjust sending frequency. And so like what you also need to consider is if open rate drops while expanding. Let's just say you were consistently sending to like 60-day engage, and now you're planning to expand the list to like last 90 days. Let's just say if the open rate drastically decreases, then you need to tighten the segment immediately. You don't want to be below 45 to 50% open rate, because like we already said, it lowers your deliverability, which I'm gonna go after this. And a temporary reduction is normal, but if open rate drops significantly, that means you're reaching too many unengaged subscribers. So protecting sender reputation is more important than reaching a larger audience. So you don't want to force volume at the expense of engagement. The thing that matters the most is engagement. And like I said, like if you just see the simple rule, if it's more than 65% open rate, then the segment may be too small and you want to expand the list that you're sending an email to. And if it's on the sweet spot of 45 to 50%, then it is healthy and scalable. You just want to consistently be in that segment. And if it's below 45%, then your segment may be too broad, or your list quality may be not that good. People maybe are not engaging. So you want to remove the people who are inactive. This is the thing that matters the most, is segmentation. Whether your email gets opened or not, like you want to be sending to relevant people in order to make sure your open rate is increased, right? That's the first. And next up we have deliverability. And so why it influences open rate. So even if you have the best subject line in the world, if the email you're sending does not reach the inbox, it cannot get open, right? So inbox providers use your sender reputation to decide whether to place emails in the inbox, promotion, or spam folder. So strong reputation leads to better inbox placement and higher open rate. So what are the stuff that actually impacts sender reputation? First is open and click rate, whether this email that you're sending is actually getting opened or clicked, and then spam complaints. So if you're sending to irrelevant people, then they might spam. So you don't want to be sending to irrelevant people. Unsubscribe rate, same story. You don't want to be sending your email to irrelevant people who are not engaged with the email that you're sending. It's better for you to not send to those people. It's just like you might have more spam rate, unsubscribe rate. It just comes down to segmentation, right? And that's how you can improve deliverability or decrease deliverability. And so like bounce rate, you don't want to be sending to the email that just does not exist and sending to inactive subscribers. So these are the things that impact sender reputation. So what should be done is you need to be sending primarily to like engaged segment, regularly suppress inactive subscribers, because there's no point in sending an email to inactive subscribers. Maintain SPF, DKIM, and DMARC authentication, which is really crucial in 2026, by the way. Like SPF, DKIM, and DMARC, if it's not connected, then you are likely to go to spam. So these are just the basic, and there are plenty of tutorials online that you can go through if this is not set. And then like you want to be avoiding sudden spikes in sending volume. You don't want to be sending 10 email today and then immediately send 50 email. That's just an example. Obviously, you're not just going to be sending 10 email, but you don't want to be increasing the spike. There cannot be the sudden spike in sending volume, because that's usually what spammers do. And so monitor spam complaints and bounce rates. So inbox placement comes before opens. Protect your sender reputation and open rate would follow, right? So like these are the two factors: just sending to the right audience and engaged list segmentation. Second is sender reputation. But if you are sending consistently to the engaged audience, then your deliverability can be high, inbox placement can be high. And so these two are really related to each other. And so third thing we have is sending time. Like most of the people don't even consider this factor, right? So sending time affects how visible your email is when it arrives in the inbox. So the closer your email is on the top of the inbox when the subscriber checks the email, the more likely it is to be opened. Timing can improve performance, but only when segmentation and deliverability are already strong. So when segmentation and deliverability are already strong, then you want to optimize on sending time. So let's just say we've tested this for different brands that we're working with as well. So like if you're sending in the normal time, like 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 12 a.m. So what you have to know is there are like thousands of marketers doing the same exact thing. So the trick here is to send in at unusual time, right? Like 12, 17, maybe like 12, 24. It might not have that of a difference, but like at the end of the day, it's just like small thing compounds, right? If you keep on doing this, then if you keep on having the more open rate and more click rate and more revenue, it just compounds over time. So you want to be testing this. This is a quick trick that you can be using. And I want you to like A/B test this. Like it just depends on brand, it depends on audience. And so it's not that these times are magically better. The goal is to avoid inbox congest and increase the chance of appearing near the top when subscribers check their email. Like that's the thing. So different brands have different winning times. There is no universal best send time. A time that works for one brand may perform poorly for another. So it depends on the brand to brand. It depends on who is actually receiving the email on the other side, right? Because we're optimizing depending on who are actually getting our email. So for example, is fashion brand often performs well during lunch breaks and the evening, and because the reason is customers browse during free time. But if it's home and furniture brand, like which have really high price, may perform better in the evening and weekend because there is enough time for the customer to actually research. They're in the evening. It's in the evening time, they're on their couch and they want to research. Like it just completely depends on the audience. So you want to be testing the same time. And then health and wellness brand often sees strong engagement in the early morning or evening. Your audience behavior is what we need to optimize sending time on, and it matters more than generic industry benchmark, right? So you want to be A/B testing your send time. So you cannot assume the best send time. Like you just won't know until you test it. So you can compare two different send times, days, on the hour, off the hour sends, and like whichever gets higher open rate, you can optimize on sending those emails in those time, like which can improve your email performance over time drastically. So you want to be measuring key thing here: open rate, click rate, conversion rate, and revenue per recipient. And so the best time varies by brand, audience, and industry. But this is also the factor which people don't consider. So you want to be testing that because like small things compounds, like I said, right? And the next up we have is subject line. So the entire purpose of subject line is to get the people who are receiving the email on the other side to open the email. That's the only purpose of subject line, to get the email open, right? So it does not need to sell the product or explain the entire offer. So if nobody opens the email, nothing else matters. So that's why subject line deserves as much attention as the email itself. In a crowded inbox, every subject line gets ignored. So if your message looks like every other promotional email, it's easy for subscribers to skip over it. So subject line rules, like, so what are the things that you can do to make sure that you have a really good subject line that will end up having higher open rate? Is you need to keep it under 9 words, like short, specific conversational lines consistently outperform long descriptive ones. Lowercase always wins because it looks like the email come from some internal email, some like friends, not marketing blast. It just does not look at it as corporate. It came from corporate, right? So like lowercase subject line outperformed the title case by 21%. And so you never want to be using spam trigger words such as free, guaranteed, act now, limited time. So it reduces deliverability by 40%, and you need to write subject last, not first. So write the email, find the best hook, then write the subject around that hook, and one emotion per subject line, whether it's curiosity, urgency, or social proof. Never all three at once. So what you want to also know in terms of subject line is it cannot have a clickbait, right? Maybe you just want the people who are receiving the email to actually open, but you say some completely different thing than what the actual email is. So what that does is that might lead your email to go actually on spam, and then they might unsubscribe because it's a clickbait, right? It needs to be congruent to what the email is about, subject line, right? So here are some of the ideas. Like number 1 is the open loop. An open loop gives readers an incomplete piece of information, making them curious enough to open the email and find out the rest. It gives part of the story but leaves out most most important detail. So this creates curiosity, like that's the key, because people naturally want to know what happens next, right? So here are some of the examples. So let's just say you say, we almost did not share this. Okay, like what did they not share, right? I mean, it's just like curious, and we made a mistake. Okay, what mistake, right? It's just curiosity. And then like what happened next surprised us. There's a reason this worked. We didn't see this coming. Like these are some of the examples. It's just like open loop, you know? And so like these are best used for your story-based emails, behind the scene content, product launches, customer stories, educational email, right? Like this is an open loop. Like just invoke that curiosity on the reader and they are likely to open the email. That's the principal one. And the second is the bold claim, right? It makes a strong statement that grabs attention and makes people think, wait, like, is that true, right? So because the reader is surprised or challenged, they become curious enough to open the email. So for example, most people make this mistake. Like if that's a bold claim, like what mistakes do most people make, right? And then you're probably using XYZ product wrong. Okay, like, I mean, I might be using this wrong. So let's see what this is, right? It's just like bold claim. The solution isn't what you think, what nobody tells you about this, right? Like you get the point. The bold claim is the second strategy that you can run in order for you to have a higher open rate in terms of like subject line. When all of the stuff that we went over is dialed in, then the next thing you want to focus on is subject line. And so this is best used for educational email, FAQs, myth busting content. And then the third, we have the personal question. This subject line feels like a message from a real person rather than a marketing email. It asks a simple question that makes the reader feel like the email was written specifically for them. So for example, can be like, quick question for you. Like, did you see this? Can I get your opinion? Have you tried this yet? What do you think? Like, are you still interested? Like stuff like that, right? So this could be best used for re-engagement campaigns, plain text email, founder email, customer feedback request, important announcements. So this is number 3. And number 4, we have like specific list. A specific list uses a number and a clear topic to show readers exactly what they'll learn inside the email. People like it because it's easy to understand and promises quick information. So for example, 3 ways to get better results, 5 mistakes most people make, 7 things to know before you buy, 4 simple tricks you can use today, 10 ideas worth trying, right? So this could be best used for educational email, how-to content, tips and advice, product education, blog and newsletter email. And this is for subject line. And then the next stop we have in the 5 number, that's preview text. So preview text is the most underused asset in email marketing. Treat your preview text as a second subject line. In most mobile inboxes, what you have to know is the subject line and preview text display at nearly the same visual weight. The combination is what sells the open, not the subject line alone. So what not to do is you never want to repeat the subject line again. So let's just say if your subject says like 3 things selling out this week, preview should not say check out what's selling out this week. It's just the same thing in different words, right? You don't want to be doing that. So never over explain. Preview text that fully summarizes the email removes all reason to open it. So here are the combination of subject and preview text. So these examples can give you a context on like what it should be, right? So let's just say if your subject line says we made a mistake, the preview text can say we made a mistake and you're the one who benefits from it. Your cart called, it says the navy one is almost gone. 3 things selling out this week. Number 2 even surprised us. Like, oops, we overstocked, which means you win, right? It's just like this subject line and preview text, it just complements each other, right? Invoking the more curiosity for the customers to actually open an email. So let's just say, don't open this on an empty stomach. So new menu drops today and the photos are dangerous. So you get the point here. So it just needs to complement each other, like subject line and previous text. So these are the factors that we went through. Like first is segmentation, which is the most important thing. You want to be sending to relevant people. And then the second is deliverability. And then the sending time. And on the 4th is subject line and the preview text. So if the segmentation is right, deliverability is right, sending time is right, then subject line should be good, and then preview. So these are the factors that are involved whether your email gets opened or not. So you want to be going through each one of these lists and make sure that it's optimized to get higher open rate, right? So I'm gonna leave these docs down in the description below. So if you want to find me an X, you can just send me a text or say hi or whatever. And if you want to find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, right? And if you're an e-com brand doing more than $50,000 a month and are struggling with lower open rate and you want to increase the revenue for your brand through email and SMS, we can help you generate more than 30% of the revenue coming from email and SMS. If that sounds interesting, you can book in a call below and then we can see how we can help you. This is it for this video. So you can watch another video which is in the screen and see you in the next one.